Business Spotlight, brought to you by Cross Rhythms and Baba Baboon.
I'm Sonya Farrell and this is Business Spotlight in partnership with Cross Rhythms City Radio and Baba Baboon. Joining me in the studio this week, we're talking business, but we're talking business loans with Mark Savill, who's a business development manager from BCRS Business Loans. Hello, Mark.
Hi, Sonya. Lovely to see you.
Now, BCRS Business Loans. Before we go anywhere, just give us a little bit of background about what this is and why it exists, basically.
Okay, well, BCRS Business Loans was formed in 2002. It actually started out life as the Black Country Reinvestment Society, and we're a non-profit organisation, and we lend money to businesses all across the West Midlands and now Wales as well. So we're what you call a community development financial institution. That means we're there to help the business community. We're there to help the local economy, to help businesses grow, to help them save jobs and create jobs, particularly for businesses where they may have gone to high street banks and they don't have an appetite to lend to a company for any number of reasons. But we're there to step in and to help them and to understand the business, get to know the business, and hopefully provide them with some funding.
So a community development financial institution is what BCRS Business Loans is. And you mentioned, not-for-profit. Now, you talked about banks just slightly there. And anyone in business, I suppose, not being too ignorant or anything, but the first port of call, you might even look or try to find certain funding out there or go to a bank. Now, what is the alternative?
Yeah, well, I mean, I worked for a bank for many years. I did 30 years with NatWest, 17 of which was doing commercial lending here in Stoke. Sometimes, for some reasons, the banks don't have an appetite to lend. Maybe the business hasn't been trading long enough, or they've had some blips in their trading performance. Maybe they've got a growth opportunity, but they've got no security to put behind a loan. So there's lots of alternative forms of business finance out there, and we're just one of those, really. I mean, I haven't run my own business for a while. When you're in a small business and you want to speak to a bank manager, it's really difficult to see anybody face to face these days. There are some local bank managers still around locally, but generally smaller businesses you're directed to a call centre, and then that in itself can be frustrating. Trying to speak to someone, never mind sit in front of someone, to tell them passionately about your business, what you're trying to do, and how you're different and how you want to grow. You've got these ambitions. So there's actually a very large alternative business finance option out there. We're one of them, and in some ways, we as a business, we're a bit like the old style bank manager. We'll go out and see the client face to face. Most of our team doing the role I'm doing are ex-bank managers anyway, so we understand business, we understand lending to business, and that face-to-face ability to get in front of people and really understand the business and look at the sort of the non-financial aspects of the business, the staffing, the strategy, the dreams and visions of the business, as well as looking at the financial numbers, and having just come back into the commercial lending world recently, I'm really enjoying it. Having had that banking experience, I've also run my own business, so I know what it's like to try and get funding. But we're generally there to help business, and already I've had the opportunity to do that in the first few months.
And, you mentioned your own experience in business and running a business. So I can, with myself, I fully understand it can be quite daunting as well. I've never done it myself. I'll be totally honest. I've never done it. I've never been to a bank and asked for a loan. I just haven't needed to, luckily, or wanted to in that respect. Or maybe not even understood fully what options are out there. So if there was someone like me, I've been in business now a good few years, but if there's a startup out there and they are thinking, well, what options have I got? I don't want this massive loan hanging over my head either. Is it for everybody? Is it for startups with this alternative finance, or is it more for more established businesses?
It's for both, really. And in terms of, there's some great starting points in terms of if you need funding. The local Chamber of Commerce, they know the funders that are out there, so they can signpost to you. The Stoke and Staffordshire Growth Hub, which is currently run through the county council, they've got some great advisors, and they know the places that are out there to help. The local authorities have some grants and some smaller loans for start-up businesses. We at BCRS, we tend to look at more established businesses, so that need to really be going 18 months, 2 years, really. But if a startup came to me, I know the places to signpost people to. So it's about looking and getting that advice, really. Speak to your accountant. Accountants will be aware of the different funding options that are available, and they can signpost business owners in the right direction as well. And there's people like commercial finance brokers out there also. I mean, when I worked for NatWest, I also was involved in setting up the Michelin Development Scheme here in Stoke-on-Trent. So I sat on the panel of that and helped businesses around the city back in, well, it's probably 20 years ago, really. But that's still going, and that's still there to help local businesses, which is backed by Michelin as their commitment, their corporate and social responsibility commitment, having had a big factory there and now obviously a much smaller operation, but they've still got the appetite to support and help businesses locally. So there's lots of different funding options out there. It's about just seeking out advice. But I'd suggest the first point of call: go to the Chamber of Commerce, go to the Growth Hub, and they'll be able to signpost businesses in the right direction.
And there's something that you mentioned earlier, actually, Mark, and you were talking about, in a role that you do now, as well as sort of businesses who are potentially looking to grow and maybe even looking to recruit. But again, I'm not sure how can, again, this alternative way of sort of operating, doing business with finance and everything, how can that help to bring in more staff? How does it work?
Well, we as a company, we offer loans of up to £150,000 over 5 years. And we'll help businesses if they've got a new opportunity, for example. Maybe they've won a new contract and they need some working capital money to be, maybe buy some vehicles or maybe take on some more staff. Maybe they need to fund the production of a certain product before they're able to sell it. Then we'll work with them, and if there's an opportunity to grow and create profitability and also create employment through that, that's exactly why we exist. So often businesses, they might not own their own property that they can put up as security, or they might not want or have a residential property they can give to the bank behind a personal guarantee or something. In our world, we just lend against a guarantee and a debenture from the company, so we're not looking for tangible assets behind that. We'll generally get under the skin of a company, look at its trading performance. Is it profitable? Has it got a positive balance sheet? With a new opportunity, is it going to grow? Is it going to create more profit? And will it be able to service some debt? And if it can, then we've got real appetite to help them. Because sometimes high street banks, if there's no security they can have to protect themselves from that risk, they're reluctant to lend. But actually, it's a real shame when a business owner's got a real good opportunity, but they haven't got the working capital to be able to fund that. And it can be difficult to access. So if we can help a company grow, create employment that has a benefit to the local economy, which has a knock-on effect to other companies, and creates that employment, that's really why we exist. Really, it's to help and step in the gap when perhaps funding can't be found. If we can come in and help a business grow and succeed, because small SMEs, the lifeblood of the local economy, aren't they? This country has always thrived and grow and seen growth when small businesses grow and prosper. So we're just one of the cogs in that machine, really, to help businesses get the funding they need. And we've got loads of examples all across the West Midlands and Wales where we've helped businesses move to the next level. So I'm really enjoying being back in that world, actually. I've always enjoyed getting into businesses, walking around a factory or something like that, seeing how they work. And so I'm really enjoying getting back into that business space from where I was previously.
And is there, or do you see any sort of, not trends, I suppose, but any sort of industry sectors that are more popular or are more sort of open to maybe having these conversations with the likes of yourself? We'll look at almost any sector really, but it's interesting. I think even within the retail sector, which is having a really tough time at the moment, there are still successful businesses that have got a new product or something
that actually people want to buy. So even within that sector, there are real opportunities. In the hospitality sector, that's really difficult at the moment. But we've helped various pubs and restaurants across the West Midlands over recent years who have got just as something different, and they're being successful. And there's an opportunity there. Manufacturers, again, even sort of, dare I say the B word, post-Brexit, for some lots of companies that's been a really difficult time, but actually for some companies they've had a real opportunity and they've pivoted, looked in a slightly different direction, and are doing really well, and are creating more jobs and helping to boost the local economy. And having worked in North Staffs for 25 years, it's a really good place to work and to do business, and there's some real success stories out there. We want to help just help more businesses become a success story that we can be proud of in North Staffs.
And, you've been in business yourself. We've already talked about that. You've worked in North Staffs for like 25 years. What have you seen, or is there anything in particular that you've seen over those years and then now, and what you're doing now, on how, businesses are either facing more barriers, or is there more opportunity back out there and back coming into the local economies?
That's a tricky one. There's always opportunities. There's always new places for opportunities. I think, post-COVID, certainly thinking to my previous business, we had a bit of a boom for 2 years, from 2020 to 2022. And a lot of businesses had a bit of that bounce back. A lot of people, because they didn't spend money for like 6 months a year, all of a sudden had more disposable income. So they're going out and they're able to spend it. But in terms of the whole cost of living thing over the last few years, yes, inflation seems to have sort of come down a bit, but prices are still a lot more than they were 2 years ago in terms of food and lots of other things. So I think we're just finding at the moment that some businesses are slowing down a bit, and it still can be tough for households out there. But at the same time, there's still new opportunities. And I know business people are really creative, and they can see and sense a gap in the market for something, or they can see and sense a new opportunity. So I think there's still lots of opportunity out there. We've just got to make sure businesses are well supported and get good advice to be able, so they can seize these new opportunities that are before them.
And just going back to, SMEs and how vital, and important they are, for a local economy, but all, the communities that we serve, that we all serve. I mean, from you as well, just to elaborate on that, how do you see that going forward, or what would you like to see in going forward and more of these SMEs being supported?
I think it's what I'd like to see is sort of getting the knowledge out there about what's available to help businesses. The local authorities and the Chambers of Commerce do a great work and do put on courses to support businesses. The thing is, when you run your own business, particularly if you're a small business, you're so busy running the business, it's really difficult to take time out and to go and attend these things. Even things like where we met Sonya doing business networking. I mean, I grew my previous business mainly through word of mouth networking across Staffs and Shropshire, just getting out there, telling people what you do. But as a small business owner, it's really difficult sometimes to say, I need to be out doing that. Yeah. I've got a friend that actually works like you in the marketing area, who I was chatting to, and again, we talked about that period between 2020 and 2022. For a lot of businesses, you didn't really need to do much marketing. People were sat at home and all saying, I've got money to spend. And businesses, we certainly found just business walking through the door, some businesses are almost too busy. But actually what happened, I suppose, later in 2022 with that mini budget, and the rise in interest rates, all of a sudden businesses were finding that the business wasn't coming in as much. And they were thinking, well, how do we generate new business? And then they've got to relearn those marketing skills that they've lost, or maybe they've stopped spending with a marketing company, and they need to restart that spending because it was a bit of a strange time for all of us, wasn't it? Yeah. But it was that people think, oh, great, business coming in, I don't need to do anything. But actually, when things get quiet and a bit tougher again, you've really got to put in the work and get out there. So I'd say to to business owners, if you're able to actually get out and find a network, just get out and meet people and talk about your business, that's a real good investment of time to do. And that's what I'm doing in this new role now at BCRS Business Loans. I'm the business development manager for the whole of Staffordshire. So it's out there promoting what we do, promoting the finance opportunities we've got. I'm doing a lot. I'm reasonably well known in Stoke-on-Trent business community in the Chambers of Commerce, but over in Lichfield and Burton and Tamworth, I'm not well known over there. So it's about getting in the car, getting over there, meeting people, telling them what you do, finding out what businesses are doing over there, and then building relationships. So you're in a position to help people when they've got a question, or you can signpost them to somebody else as well.
Yeah, and it's that face-to-face, isn't it, Mark? You mentioned, we first met when I was probably really shy, going out business networking. But that's when we first met, and we've maintained contact over the years. We've stayed in touch. And when you were talking about something as serious or, a real sort of crucial decision for a business to go out there and look for this, help, financial support to help them to grow and to recruit, and whether it's a new product or anything like that, or even to market as well, it's, for me anyway, I'll ask you what you think, but for me, it is that face-to-face contact, looking someone in the eye, being totally honest and open, and having that more of a rapport relationship, no matter how much digital technology there is. And Zooms work fine, I'm not going to criticise that. I use Zoom. But for me, when you say, sometimes it might be difficult to reach maybe, a bank manager face-to-face nowadays. Things have changed. Things have changed on the high street. So for me, that face-to-face interaction is really when you get to know someone.
Absolutely. And when I said I've always enjoyed like going around factories and getting to know a business, and it's only spending time in a business that you speak to some of the staff when you're walking around, and you get a real feel. Certainly as a lender, and I used to do this all the time in NatWest days, you can speak to someone on the phone all you want, but it's only when you go and spend a couple of hours with the business owner, walk around, see what they do, see how their systems. We used to have a thing where we had to once a quarter go and spend a day in a business. I remember when I left NatWest in 2016. I actually took redundancy that summer, and I had about 80 companies around the city that I was looking after, and I had to go. Like in a 6-week period, I think I went to visit most of them to hand them over to a colleague. And when I told them that I was planning to go and run my own business, every one of them said to me, well, now you know what it's like. Because I worked for 30 years in NatWest, went in straight from school. And you learn a lot of skills there, and you learn a lot about finance. You learn a lot about business. But actually, until you actually run your own business, you don't realise what a huge commitment that is. And I know you'll have experienced this as well, Sonya, in terms of it's a 24/7 thing, isn't it? You never stop thinking about the next opportunity or the next thing you've got to do. If you're going through a tricky time, that's on your mind all the time. It's really difficult to switch off. I think I actually took less holidays when I ran my own business than when I was employed by a business, because there's always stuff to do. There's that responsibility, and I have a great deal of admiration and respect for all business owners, really. Sometimes they can get a bit of a bad press, I think, but the people that run that local business around the corner from where you live, they put their life and soul into it and put everything into it. I live over in Market Drayton, and there's a great restaurant there. It was the best restaurant we had in Drayton for years. But again, they've actually closed that now because, and when it goes on Facebook or whatever, and a business owner announces that they're not able to carry on anymore, it's really quite sad, because you know what they've put into it. Not just loads of money. Maybe they've borrowed money from friends and families. They might have borrowed money from a bank or another organisation. It's really, really quite sad when a business gets to that point. But yeah, as I said before, SMEs are the lifeblood of the local economy, aren't they? In my previous business, we were employing at one time, we were supporting 7 or 8 households out of one small business. Wow. And that's a massive responsibility, isn't it? It's a massive privilege as well, and something to be proud for when you're employing people, and because they rely on their income, of course, don't they? So yeah, huge respect for business owners, and if we can help them achieve their ambitions, if we can secure their future, help them grow and seize opportunities, that's what we're in this for.
And just, one more question, Mark. I'm just going to ask, might put you on the spot a little bit here, but it's just something to you really because of your experience in banking, seeing it from that side, your experience in business and running your own business as well and being involved in that, like you say, day after day, 24/7. I think, again, that understanding of what actually a business owner is going through at a particular time. But the role that you're in now, it sounds like you're really enjoying this and getting out and seeing everybody and being on the other side where you can actually give that helping hand in a different way.
Yeah, I've already spoken to businesses and explained that. Yeah, I've done that. I know what it's like to lose sleep because you think we've had a slow month and we've got to be able to pay something in the month, or there's a real good opportunity, but I need some cash to be able to do that and to actually and to actually be able to seize that opportunity. But it's a fine balancing line, isn't it? I mean, when your business is busy, you're working in the business, and if you're on your own or there's just a few of you, to take time out to work on the business or to even just go and meet somebody and just chat strategy.
Yeah.
There's a real important role, I think, at the moment in terms of accountants locally. I know loads of them are moving away from just being the firm that does the numbers to becoming more business advisors, and a lot of accountants are upskilling and then partnering with and meeting with organisations like ours to say, well, how do we really add value to that business and help it achieve its ambitions? It's not just about the numbers or how much tax you pay. It's we've all got in the finance sector responsibility, I think, to help businesses thrive, because that's how we're going to get the growth that everybody keeps talking about. And we won't get political, but we need growth, don't we? We need growth. We need people to improve themselves in terms of their earning potential, so they can support their families and then spend money themselves, which will impact their local economy. So it's a big responsibility when you work in the finance sector, I think. Again, we often get a bad press, sometimes for the right reasons, but genuinely there's so many, particularly I know so many finance professionals locally that have that real desire to help people, to help the businesses grow and move on. So we've got some great skills in this part of the world, and we need to collaborate and work together to push on and help sort of build North Staffordshire, in fact the whole of the county, up to be successful in business.
Brilliant. That's what I like to hear, Mark. Thank you so much for coming in here on Business Spotlight. That's Mark Savill, Business Development Manager at BCRS Business Loans, here on Business Spotlight with me, Sonya Farrell.
Business Spotlight, shining a light on our local business community. Brought to you by Cross Rhythms and Baba Baboon.